out here fighting demons. We done stepped into a life that got us out here fiending. That money be the root of all evil, could kill us all. My homie had a bad addiction and died to an overdose of fentanyl. My other homie doing 30, killing with fentanyl. I just make sure I'm by the phone every time he call. Ever so dope, we all make some bad choices. Some of us get a second chance while others pay for it. The money in the drug got these women selling they soul. They done legalized weed, now everybody smoking drugs. People out here getting high, forgetting they got keys. Double cupping all night on that lean, getting lit. Pumping that dog food, aka that heroin. Another mother just lost a child to something that's embarrassing. We need to make a change and break the cycle, all this foolishness. Every day, every so dope, we keep on losing keys.
This is Kathy.
And I'm Nicole with Ever So Dope.
Today we've got Sonia. She's our special guest, and we're going to touch on the subject of sexual assault. Say hi, Sonia.
Hey, everybody. This is Sonia. Thanks for having me on today, guys.
We appreciate you coming. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and yourself? And you can use your name if you'd like. We didn't say your last name, unless you want to. You don't have to, but just tell us who you are and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, Kathy. So my name is Sonia Lowe. I'm from Panama City. I've lived here all my life. I went to school at Troy State and got my degree and decided that it was kind of my passion and my why to come back and serve the community that I grew up in. I had, people here that were good to me, and I just wanted to pour back into Panama City.
Awesome.
So my background is, I worked with sexual assault survivors for the past 7 years.
Awesome. You've also worked with children as well, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was at the Panama City Marine Institute for 12 years, so some of the best years of my life there.
I gotcha. Okay.
And in what ways do you provide emotional support and empowerment to survivors during their journey?
Yeah, so here there is an organization that you can reach out to and that I've been a part of. It is the Gulf Coast Sexual Assault Program. They're the Certified Rape Crisis Center, and through them there's a multitude of services that guys, people just don't know that they're there. And I think that's part of the problem is if you don't know the services are there, or that you're a little hesitant to reach out to them, a sexual assault can lead to, as you guys know, substance misuse. So they can provide crisis intervention, they have support groups, they provide therapy, equine therapy, art therapy. So there's just a multitude of
emotional services that are...
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so can you walk us through just when you get a phone call? Is it 24 hours a day? Just a little bit of what's going on in our community. We want to know demographics. We want to know who is involved and who is targeted. And then what we're trying to do. Our podcast is about addiction and all the things that go with addiction, and how sexual assault is the women who are addicted to drugs are prey for people like that. So that's kind of where we want to go with this, to let people in the area know that it is happening here. And our mission is addiction and overdose.
Sexual assault and drug abuse correlate with each other so much.
Right.
Yeah, of course, guys. So, one of the biggest populations that we serve that we've seen such an impact in is at the Bay County Jail. Women don't realize that a lot of their choices may be because of the sexual assault. So they may be involved in substance use and not even realizing that they've never addressed the issues of sexual assault from maybe when they were a child or even as an adult. And so reaching and just supporting them and letting them know that 24 hours a day, because guys, when you're sad, is it only during the day?
Nope, not at all.
right? During the day, you're probably not as sad because there's out people moving around. Maybe you're interacting with people. It's at night when you're alone and you feel like you don't have anybody to reach out to. Maybe that's when you're choosing to use. And so to let people know that there is a line that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that they can reach out to someone. And it's not, when I say a hotline, what do you guys think about?
Like a 1-800 hotline robot.
Right, so you think you may be calling some call center with somebody with a headset on that's going to read off of it, monitor. No, guys, that's not what it is. If you call this hotline, a victim advocate, that rings to their cell phone, and you're going to get a one-on-one response from the victim advocate that's on call. So
Can you tell us what that? Can you tell us what that number is?
Yeah, for sure. It's 1-866-218-4738.
Okay, we'll scroll that. We'll add that to our site with the numbers of resources and things like that. Jennifer's been working on. So
we can use that hotline as basically like a safety plan.
Right.
You feel 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't have anybody to talk to, and you're triggered for something, you can pick that phone up and call and talk to somebody.
That's such a great resource.
It really, really is.
With you working in this industry, what are some of the common challenges of victims face when seeking help for sexual assault? What are their biggest hurdles?
Well, as you guys know, working with women who have a background that maybe have been arrested, one of the biggest hurdles is feeling like no one's going to believe them.
Right.
Or being judged because of their past. Or being judged because maybe they put themselves in a situation that wasn't the safest. And so they feel like maybe they're going to be looked at like it was their fault. It was their actions or behaviors that led them to that. So making sure they understand that no matter what, nobody has the right to assault you.
No matter what the person's doing, there's absolutely no right for somebody to hurt someone.
And do you find that the women that are like the what age group? What does this affect?
Every age group. One in 3 women are a victim of sexual assault. There is not an age group that is not affected by this.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So how do you
1 in 3 women, and I know we all keep saying women, but guys, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men are affected.
Unbelievable.
And I'm sure it's not easy for people to actually come forward, and they may or may not even know if they're being sexually assaulted. So how do you ensure the confidentiality and privacy for survivors who come forward for support?
Well, the hotline is the first way because everything that comes into the line is confidential by statute. In Florida statute, the victim advocates have confidentiality. So what is said between someone that calls the line and the victim advocate can't be subpoenaed. It's covered. And so we also have offices. We don't just service Panama City. We have offices in all of the 6 counties that is considered Circuit 14, and we expand all the way to Pensacola. So we're really reaching, if you're watching this podcast and maybe you live in the outlying areas, if you live anywhere from Gulf County all the way to Pensacola, we can help.
Wow.
Do you help women? What if they don't want to prosecute their attacker? What happens then? Does the CAC turn it into the police, or do they not do it?
No, women or men over the age of 18, and that's your factor right there. Under 18 is a mandated report to the Department of Children and Families.
Okay.
But if you're 18 and over, that is the survivor's choice, their right to decide whether or not they want to report to law enforcement or not.
Okay.
Even if you showed up at the hospital and tell them, hey, I was sexually assaulted, they cannot call law enforcement unless you ask them to. That's your choice.
Okay.
You don't want, because maybe they're scared at that time to call law enforcement. Maybe they're on probation, right?
Right.
I deal with a lot of people that are on probation, and maybe this sexual assault occurred after their curfew.
Right.
And so they're so scared to call the law enforcement because they don't want to violate probation.
Right.
So, there are ways to work with the advocate around that and work through that. So, no, law enforcement won't just be called, but that doesn't mean that they can't get services. Just because they choose not to report to law enforcement doesn't disqualify them for any of our services. They can still get therapy. They can still do any of that they want as much as they want.
That's really, really good to know. And so back to the drugs, do the majority of the folks you help with the sexual assault, are they using currently? Have they been using? Were they attacked when they were high? Do you find that drugs are a big part of that?
Kathy, everybody kind of we have seen several cases where substances were used. Maybe they got so high that they didn't really know what they were doing and then were assaulted. Sometimes the perpetrator uses the drugs to assault. It really is just a gamut of it.
Right.
Of course,
never know.
I see here too, a lot of the women we help through with you guys' program too, a lot of them are homeless. A lot of the homeless are addicted to drugs and, sexually assaulted. Pretty much everyone who's ever come through our program in 8 years that has been on the streets has been sexually assaulted. So that's pretty commonplace too, that they're or prey to retard or idiots or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
When you put yourself in certain situations, you're more vulnerable
Right.
to be assaulted, of course.
Right.
So,
And it
but
also
they're out on the streets.
It also seems that women who have been sexually abused in their younger years, do you see a lot of substance use for coping skills?
That's a good
100%,
question.
guys.
Yeah.
You're 100% on the money right there.
Right.
I can tell you that I would be willing to bet 99.9% of the women that we help at the jail, we see that they have the trauma from their childhood and maybe they never told anybody. So these feelings have just manifested over the years. Maybe they didn't feel they could trust anybody. It never got addressed. And so now they've turned to drugs to mask their emotions and their feelings. And it was just like a snowball effect from
Right.
there.
And through going through that, that is services. Those are services that are also offered to these victims is the trauma therapy and coping skills and things like that. I mean, it's not just a one and done. It's there's help for these ladies.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Gotcha.
It's not one and done. The therapy is typically at least 12 weeks long, and then we have ongoing support groups. Like I said, the equine therapy, that's working with horses. That is phenomenal. Maybe you're not ready yet to go sit on a couch and talk to somebody about your feelings, doing the art therapy and the equine therapy. So we're trying to reach all survivors in different modalities and what makes them feel comfortable to get help.
Everyone's different,
How do you, as a provider, how do you cope with being in this industry? I know for me, it's difficult to work with folks who are abused or are in jail or on drugs. It's emotionally taxing for us as folks that work with women in recovery. So I can only imagine the toll that it takes on you as a provider. Can you tell us a little bit about how you cope?
Yeah, 100%. You have to have self-care. You have to have boundaries. Have a boundary between work and home life, and make sure you're balancing that. Myself, I have a family, and you have to make sure that you're able to get your job done and be there for the survivors, but also taking care of yourself. I like to spend time in nature. I like to travel. So, just really trying to balance taking care of yourself and admitting when maybe I need to go to therapy or I need to reach out for help. Vicarious trauma is experiencing this trauma through our survivors, and sometimes a specific case may hit home to me, and it's okay to call my therapist and say, hey, guy, I might need a couple more sessions.
Right.
And it may be another year before I need to do that again. But just knowing that it's okay to ask for help, no matter who you are.
Right.
It's okay to ask for help. We don't have to go through this life alone. we can ask people for help, and there's people out there that want to help you.
Right. So the numbers, can you give us some statistics for our area? Say 2023 statistics.
Yeah, Kathy, I would say in 2023 we did maybe 150 forensic exams. So that was collecting that was an exam or an assault that happened immediately, probably 150, and we served probably over 400 clients just in 2023.
And
Wow.
that's just the people who actually wanted to get help. I mean, I wonder how many people are assaulted that just don't seek help at all.
Well, I'm telling you these numbers, and then say the statistic is around 70% do not report. So listen to these numbers I'm telling you guys, and then around 70% don't report. There's telling you that this is a epidemic, just as bad as substance abuse, and they go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
And that, and that's one reason we're so glad to have you on the show today, because, there's so many people out there that are probably too scared to report. And, we're hoping, having you that,
Take some of that stigma away,
Yeah,
let them
step
know
up
they're
and-
not alone and all that stuff. So if you could have a second and just in closing tell women, because basically our focus is women and men if they're listening too, but what things can an individual do to stay away from that happening to them, and then if it does happen to them, maybe some words of encouragement, and then in closing too, repeat that phone number so that ladies can call if they need help.
For sure. If you're going out with friends, say you are going to go out to a club or something like that, stay together. Don't let anybody go off by themselves. Trust your gut. If you think it's not supposed to be going on, it probably shouldn't. Never sit your drink down. They do make these things now that can go over your cup. It's like I think they call them a cup condom. And it goes over the top of your cup, so when you're going out, there's no way that anybody could, slip something in your drink.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
great idea.
Really cool. Putting yourself in situations where if you're getting intoxicated and you're using drugs, and you might pass out, who's there? What's going to happen to you? What might happen to you? So just trying to be aware of the situations that you might get yourself in. And words of encouragement is just, we believe everybody and we accept everybody. So not to feel like you're going to be judged if you call and reach out for help. That's what we're there for, and we just want you to reach out and know that people are there to help you. And that number is 1-866-218-4738.
Awesome, Sonia. Thank you so much for joining us today and bringing this, more light and more discussion, because it's those things that are done in darkness people don't like to talk about, and it is so prevalent here in Bay County, right along with the human trafficking, which will be another topic on another day, and also the addiction to drugs and alcohol that we see all the time with these ladies. So we're just grateful for you, and we thank you for joining us on Ever So Dope today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Sonia.